Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith has some harsh words for Director of the Police Complaints Authority. This story takes the lead in our 929th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 27th August 2020. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Police Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago Gary Griffith comes out with guns blazing in response to the Police Complaints Authority's publication of recommendations for a tribunal to investigate allegations of wrongdoing by Acting Commissioner of Police Erwin Hackshaw. More from this TV6 news report.
Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith is adamant that the publication of recommendations concerning ACP Erwin Hackshaw by the PCA is not one of public interest and criticized the head of the PCA, David West, for what he calls his unprofessionalism, saying that after months of investigating the ACP, nothing substantial has surfaced.
This here is what Mr. West had provided to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. This is what he provided to me a few weeks ago. After months of investigations by Mr. West, dozens and dozens of investigations and reports, all of this from Mr. West and the Police Complaint Authority, not one thing he has shown to state that Mr. Hackshaw has committed a criminal offense. Nothing.
Last week, the PCA recommended that disciplinary action be taken by the TTPS against ACP Hackshaw, who has been under investigation by the PCA over the source of funds amounting to $2 million in his bank account. The commissioner said what came out of the investigation by the PCA is a breach in the police regulations of moonlighting whilst on vacation.
All of this big song and dance, all of these reports in the media is about an individual who, whilst on his vacation, the PCA has claimed that he did not get approval to work for a few days or for a few weeks at a time. That is the big issue.
The commissioner says he's not trivializing the possible breach, but there are hundreds of police officers who do private jobs during their vacation and that moonlighting is nothing new. The commissioner is questioning the PCA's motives.
We do not know if this was a degree of Mr. West being put under pressure and decided to have a release valve. But what I am not going to accept is trying to give a false impression that you become this great savior of the nation by trying to protect the nation from these big bad police officers from wrongdoing. And all that he has done after all of this time, months and months and months, all that you could come about is that this officer did not get permission to work on your own spare time whilst on vacation.
Sergeant Ansel Ford, representing the Police Association, said the publication of the recommendations by the PCA is irresponsible and could prejudice the investigation or the tribunal. He added that due process should take place, asking the PCA to not overstep.
The association calls upon the Police Complaints Authority to not overstep its bound. Work within your remit and allow the commissioner to manage the police service, and in so doing, deal with any issue of discipline regarding any officer, and in particular, Mr. Hackshaw at this time.
The commissioner said the tribunal posed another challenge as ACP Erwin Hackshaw can only be investigated by officers senior to him as it is an internal matter, which will fall in the hands of a Deputy Commissioner of Police, but there are no DCPs currently to do so.
I cannot be judge, jury, and executioner. I cannot be the complainant. I cannot be part of the tribunal and then give findings of the tribunal to then be sent back to me for me now to take action on Mr. Hackshaw. Had there been 3 substantive DCPs, this matter could be dealt with immediately. It is not the fault of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that I do not have 3 official DCPs. Had that been the case, I would have been the person as a complainant. I would have appointed 1 or 2 of the DCPs, and within days, this matter can be rectified.
The Police Service Commission is tasked with the responsibility of appointing Deputy Commissioners of Police. Nicholas Lachman Singh, TV6 News.
Meanwhile, Nicholas Lachman Singh of TV6 News reports opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar has pledged to work in the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but she says the opposition would not be painted as obstructionists or as scapegoats for poor governance.
Second-time opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar, following receipt of her instrument of appointment to office, said she accepts the appointment humbly, recognizing the role the opposition plays in holding the executive accountable, pledging that the opposition will serve until their last breath.
Today I use this opportunity to commit myself and declare that I pledge, together with my team, to continue fighting for you with our last breaths. Fighting for a cause doesn't mean that one should have a title, an office, or an accolade. It means that one must be prepared to do all in your power to achieve what you believe in. I am prepared to continue to fight against injustice with or without office.
She revealed that her acceptance of the appointment came after heavy deliberations.
I thought long and hard before accepting this appointment, Excellency. I weighed all the pros and cons. I listened to the opinions offered and the support for a great party that continues to pour in. And it became more and more obvious to me that my work is not yet complete. And therefore, I thank you today for this appointment.
She said her colleagues will no longer be used as an excuse for poor governance and will not be called obstructionists.
We will not be painted as obstructionists, but I tell you, we pledge that we will work in the best interests of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago, as we will take our oath in the Parliament eventually. We will stand strong and resolute in commitment to a better TNT.
The opposition leader noted that we are in dark times and urged all to work together.
Let us continue to pledge to work together, united. We will offer from the opposition whatever suggestions we can give, whatever ideas we may have for the better good of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Nicholas Lachman Singh, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
There is increasing worry among Jamaicans following double-digit increases in COVID-19 cases. The Health Ministry is therefore urging citizens not to panic. TVJ's O'Shane Masters reports.
Over 23.4 million cases of the coronavirus globally. The United States has over 5.7 million, followed by Brazil with 3.6 million cases. Now Jamaica sits at 141 based on the number of cases in the island. However, that's not sitting well with many who have taken to social media, blasting the government for reopening its borders too soon. Speaking at a COVID press briefing last night, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton sought to reassure the public.
Over the past few days, the public would have seen an uptick, some may describe a surge in the number of COVID cases. We have had discussions around that. The Honorable Prime Minister has had his press brief and has given new restrictions around that uptick or surge.
That was little to no relief to what was to come next from the Health Minister, the announcement of the single largest jump in one day.
So today, the August 23rd, 2020, the past 24 hours, the country has recorded 116 new samples that have tested positive for COVID-19. That's in the last 24 hours. The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Jamaica is now 1,529. The newly confirmed cases are 68 females and 48 males, with ages ranging from 17 to 85 years.
Of those numbers, 51 of the cases are from Kingston and St. Andrew, and 10 are from St. Thomas. In relation to Kingston and St. Andrew, questions have been swirling as to why there has not been a lockdown of the parish similar to that of St. Catherine on April 15. The parish was placed on a 24-hour curfew due to a cluster of cases from the Alarica call centre in Portmore. But for Kingston and St. Andrew, the case is different. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besesa McKenzie explains.
In terms of the cases that we have from Kingston and St. Andrew, yes, we do have 51 cases today. The team is really at this point in time doing the investigations to find out exactly where these cases are from and if they are linked to any confirmed cases, and to identify which of these cases are part of surveillances that we have done, or in terms of community surveillances around confirmed cases, or whether or not they are identified through respiratory surveillance.
She's therefore calling for a level of patience from the public so that the necessary work can be done. In the meantime, Dr. Tufton says his team will be reviewing the approach in how the information is disseminated to the public to ensure that unnecessary panic is not created. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Justice must be served, and the DPP seems to be acting under some kind of arrangement to allow certain people to get away with murder. That's the view of Joseph Harmon. More details in this report with HGP Nightly News' Travis Chase.
APNU AFC Executive Joseph Harmon, commenting on the private criminal charges brought against Chairman of the PNCR Valda Lawrence, is of the view that the charges filed against the former Public Health Minister is orchestrated and influenced by the PPPC.
Because, we have a government that is already been identified in the recount and so on as being responsible or benefiting from fraud. So it is now the people who are benefiting from fraud bringing people to court for fraud. So the point is that I think this is trumped up, and this is basically the work of a government that is afraid of the power of the people, and that they are trying to do everything to persecute people who have been standing firm against all that has been happening in this country over the last couple of months.
The APNU AFC heavyweight asserted that justice is blind and that the PNCR is standing firmly with the former minister.
It is important that we stand firm on these matters, and we want to make it very clear that we stand firmly behind Mrs. Valda Lawrence and those other persons who have been charged here this morning by the police and by the state, by a criminal justice system that is being manipulated by the government, manipulated by the PPP, so that they can have an outcome in their interest. Justice is blind, and justice has to be served.
Harmon, an attorney at law as well, was asked to comment on the move by the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, who withdrew the 19 fraud charges against Irfan Ali because he is now president and is automatically immune from prosecution.
The court has acted, the DPP has acted, and I've said it already before, that the DPP seem to be acting under some kind of arrangement which allows certain people to get away, with criminal activities. The president was not president at the time those offenses were committed. He was not that. And if you look at what is happening in America itself, Mr. Trump's charges are put on pause until he's finished. It is put on pause. So this rush to clear away all of these charges, not to prosecute some people on the same kind of matters that some others are before the court, it is making the Guyanese people very suspicious about the judicial system.
Lawrence is accused of procuring Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo to utter a forged form to the Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield in an attempt to defraud the state of Guyana, to which the former minister has maintained her innocence. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.